Welcome into Sports Memos Betting Podcast. College football, every game on the board. We got our first guest up, Joe Raineri. Joe, welcome into the pod. How are you?
How we doing, man? Excited. Here we go, man. Another week, college football, NFL, hoops started. It's a crazy time of year. You know this.
Oh, absolutely, man. We just had the NBA season start, just last night, and the full slate tonight. But we got college football Thursday night, Friday night, and a huge card on Saturday. So starting off here, 103, 104, we got SMU at Houston. Houston, a very unique handicap, so to speak, this year. They're catching 14 at home, 65.5 the total, Joe. And talk about, tricky handicaps right off the bat here. SMU got their eyes on New Year's Six Bowl, and Houston, kind of almost like throwing in the towel on this year, getting ready for next year. I haven't bet this game, but I find it fascinating just to make arguments for both sides here, laying the 2 touchdowns with SMU, and the home underdog catching 2 touchdowns, I guess, could be an argument as well. How do you see it?
The thing with these Thursday night games, these middle of the week games, we often have seen unders play to profitability because of the fact short weeks for some of these teams. They're not really they're not what you would see normally on Saturdays. But with Houston, De'Ara King deciding to come back for another season and redshirting and dropping out, I think we've seen the difference of what that offense with Houston is. It's now a run-first offense, guys, and that they have struggled at times. I think their last game against Uconn, they only managed 24 points, even though that they won. Not exactly, blowing people's doors off. And SMU, like you said, man, they've been able to move the ball. They've been able to score and been able to play defense against just about anybody. I don't see how they have an issue winning this game, not only winning it, I don't see how they have an issue covering it either. I think this is going to be a bit of a yawn fest, but SMU is going to score a lot.
Yeah, that's one thing we can kind of hang our hat on there. And Joe, next game up, we got Friday Night Lights. We got USC at Colorado in the Pac-12 after dark here. 62.5 the total in Boulder. Looks like USC laying 13 in the hook on the highway.
Yeah, to me, this is all about a total play here. I have a feeling there is a very good chance there will be zero defense played in this one. USC rather definitely. I like their chances I like their receivers. Their big wide receivers out there can go up and get the ball. It's a mismatch, especially with Colorado's defense. Colorado, they're going to be able to hold their own. They're going to score as well. I just don't see a whole lot of stops with either of these defenses. So go ahead and give me the over in this game. A ton of points are going to be scored here.
Joe, next game up, top of the card on Saturday. We got Uconn versus Umass. And you talk about the degenerate special of all degenerate specials. This is it, man. It's almost like the fact that I'm excited to bet this game in some form or fashion. We're seeing Connecticut laying 10 on the road. Yes, you heard that correctly. Uconn is laying 10 points on the road. Speaks tons about where this UMass program is. 62.5 being the total. Joe, throw it over to you. We got UMass. We got Uconn. What do you think?
I'm not sure who the worst team in the Northeast is. UMass, Uconn, or the New York Jets. I'm trying to figure it out, man. It's really tough. Listen, both teams, I think, are 1-6 straight up. They're both having very disappointing seasons. Both of these programs are trying to build something. I think the Minutemen have failed to cover the number 6 of their last 7 this season. UMass has allowed 29 or more points with a high of 69 in their most recent loss to Louisiana Tech. I think UConn is the better team right now. They've had a much better chance at covering the number 3 of the last 7. I think they win. I think they cover. I think this is, if you bet this game or go to it, there's a special place in hell for you. There really is.
I'll say this, UConn's quarterback kind of runs around. He can spin it a little bit. And at the same time, UMass is off of a bye. Walt fell off of a bye. I kind of have circled on as them improving, but we're really reaching here with ways to bet this UConn-UMass game.
Improving is a relative term there, yes. Improve to what? God.
All right, Let's head to the Big Ten here, Joe. We got Illinois off of a big win, one of the biggest wins, I believe, of the year in terms of shockers at ATS. 30-point underdogs upsetting the Wisconsin Badgers last week. Not sure if that speaks tons about the spot this week. I'm sure they were pretty happy last week, so having to get after it against Purdue, going to be a tough ask here. We got the Boilermakers laying 9.5 or 10 at home, 61 being the total, Joe.
Yeah, listen, it's a tough spot, right? But Lovie Smith's been around here before, coming off of that monster win there against Wisconsin, upset of the year. Now, Purdue is getting healthier, guys. We've seen that. So they were riddled with injuries here to start this season, but they're starting to get some guys back, some playmakers on the offense, a couple of guys on the defense. I'm going to take the points in this one. I do think that Purdue will win this game, but I do think Lovie Smith and the Illinois there, they'll be able to cover this game.
All right, Joe. We got San Jose State traveling across country here, facing Army up next and being forced to stop this option, although Army hasn't looked that good this year. They just lost to a Sun Belt team. 9.5 is what Army's having to lay at home. 53.5 the total here, Joe.
If you have backed San Jose State here against the number, guys, they have done really, really well over the last year and a half, especially when on the road. Army is atrocious against the number. Outside of backing the under with Army, it's if you're expecting them to cover, they don't often do it. The Spartans, however, giving up an average of 244 rushing yards per game. Yeah, I do think they're going to be able to hold their own offensively in this game. We know the triple option. It's all about the run with Army. They're going to get theirs. I think Army wins here, but I think it's too many damn points. I'm going to go ahead and back San Jose State on the road again for the win.
All right, and talking about the team that Army just faced last week, that's Georgia State, the Panthers, hosting the Troy Trojans. We got the Panthers taking money here, opened up as a dog. Now they're laying 1.5 at most shops. High total here, Joe, in the Fun Belt, 67.5.
Yeah, well, it should be because, listen, the Panthers are good on offense. We know this. Their defense is weak. Both of these teams are really not great on the defensive side of the ball. It is going to lead to a high-scoring affair for sure. But Georgia State, I like them, man. I like them to beat Troy in this game. I do think it's, that 47-43 kind of feel to it. Give me Georgia State to win this game, but it is going to be a shootout and a lot of fun to watch.
Joe, in the ACC up next, we got the defending champions here, Clemson, hosting Boston College and laying north of 30 points here, 33.5. Clemson laying at home, 58.5 the total, Joe.
Yeah, the problem with Clemson and the problem with Dabo Swinney is trying to keep these kids motivated and interested enough because it's quite obvious they only play the second half of games, and it's usually because they got to get screamed at for taking it off in the first half. And same thing with Trevor Williams here. The kid is just Trevor Lawrence, rather. He's getting that sophomore thing going now where he's having he's trying to squeeze balls in to be perfect and be cute. And they're talented enough to be able to get away from it. But Dabo knows, Boston College, if you're not careful, they're a team that will smack you right back in the mouth. And he knows this. I do think last week that first half was a bit of a wake-up call. They did come back and win in the second half. I think they do the same this week, only I think he firmly has his foot up these kids' asses this week. I think they blow out Boston College. They are not going to mess around in this game at home. You're going to get 4 quarters of Clemson football this week.
Joe, heading to the AAC up next. Memphis going on the road to face Tulsa. Memphis off of a big win last week over Tulane. Unfortunately, I was on the wrong side of that one. But either way, the Tigers laying doubles on the road at 10. I'm seeing at most shops, 56.5 the total.
Yeah, Tulsa's a strange team. They don't give up. They look great sometimes. They don't look good. What do we have here? This season, Zach Smith picked off twice and fumbled 3 times in that loss to Cincinnati. The Tulsa, on the other hand, has failed to cover 13 of its last 20 played on Saturday. They don't often do that well. Memphis, they've covered the number in 4 of their last 5 and in 8 of their last 10 in AAC play. I don't see any way in which Memphis does not win this game, and they should cover it rather easily.
We're talking with Joe Raineri. Find his services at sportsmemo.com, and we got a coupon code Joe29. That's Joe29. Get his 3-day all-access pass for less than $10 a day. Perfect. Just $29. 3-day all-access at sportsmemo.com. Joe29 at checkout. Joe, You've been a hot man in college football. What other sports you got you kind of your eye on here in looking to beat the markets?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, NFL, of course, and NBA starting. We really start to dive in. NBA waiting for college basketball to start, but really happy with the World Series, too, right now. It's been a great baseball season this year, and the World Series, I think, is going to be dynamite. We had the first five with the Washington Nationals in game one, which cashed for us. And looking for, I think this is going to go 6 or 7 games. So I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities to profit in the World Series coming up over the next week.
Yeah, so check out his service. You'll get every sport and every play he releases for under $10 a day. Joe 29 at checkout for his 3-day all access pass at sportsmemo.com. Next game up here, Joe. We got 119-120 in the MAC. Some action here. Eastern Michigan at Toledo. The Rockets, man, they've been falling apart the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Kind of looking to fade them a little bit here, and they're having to lay 4 to an Eastern Michigan team. You know, I really haven't been involved with them that much this year, Joe, so kind of hesitant in getting involved, but 58 being the total.
I think they bounce back, Toledo. Eastern Michigan has actually been a bit of a covering machine as of late, but I think they're going to struggle in this game. I think they're going to struggle to slow down the Rockets. I do think that this is a perfect bounce-back opportunity for Toledo. I expect them to. This is the one game they should be able to not only win but cover as well.
Joe, heading to the SEC West here. Mississippi State at Texas A&M. Texas A&M laying 10 or 10 in the hook, depending where you're shopping this one in College Station. 50.5 being the total.
Yeah, Mississippi State. I mean, Mississippi. What do we do here? I don't know. Texas A&M is another one of these that I'm thinking the Aggies are this close. I think they're one more loss to just completely throwing in the towel there with Jimbo. Not exactly a rough schedule, but I think more was expected from this team. It's been a very disappointing season thus far for Jimbo and Texas A&M, but I do think at home, I do think an offense led by Kellen Mond. I think they'll go ahead. They'll take care of business here. I'll take the Aggies. I'll take the points at home to take care of business against Mississippi State here.
All right, Joe, heading back to the AAC, we got the UCF Knights laying 10 in the hook on the road at Temple. Anytime these Central South Florida kids head up to the Northeast, always worries me, man. Especially when you're laying doubles. 60 being the total here, Joe.
Yeah, the Owls have been a team that has shocked a lot of people, have they not? Here, and I don't think a lot of people saw the way they were going to play, the style that they were going to play. They're very well coached. I mean, what can you do? I think they're going to play decent in this game. I think they are going to be enough, taking on a Knights offense that at times this year has had a pretty good run. We were having a whole lot of different conversations about UCF to start the year here. But the Temple, yeah, I like them. I like them being at home. I like them in this game. I think they have an above-average chance of not only being able to win this game, but grab the points, guys. Give me the Temple Owls. I think they win, but take the points as well.
All right, Joe, we got Maction here up next. Bowling Green, Western Michigan. WMU laying 26.5 at home, 63 being the total.
Yeah, this Bowling Green, Western Michigan, it's what we see. We saw Western Michigan, I believe was Monmouth and Georgia State by about 49 points or more here. I think they are. I think this is going to be a fun game, to tell you the truth. I really do. I think the Falcons are going to struggle. I do anticipate the Broncos, who are 4-0 against the number this season at home. I think they're worthy of the chalk in this game, so don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to lay it. I think they're going to go ahead and take care of business here.
Indiana at Nebraska to finish it off, Joe, in the Big Ten. We got the Cornhuskers laying one in the hook, depending where you're shopping, 53 being the total, Joe.
Yeah, this team is, again, Nebraska is one of these. The hype just didn't match what we are seeing, right? I don't think there was any bigger hype team than Nebraska coming into this year. But I like, the Hoosiers have been playing actually pretty good, and they've taken home a couple of wins here over the last couple of weeks. They're playing on the road. I think that's going to make it a little bit harder for them. The Cornhuskers have managed to play decent all year, and now, of course, they'll be home here in Lincoln. So, to me, I think Nebraska is the play. I do think the Nebraska Cornhuskers will win this game, but I would go ahead and grab the points.
All right, Joe Raineri there. And Joe, we love people reaching out on social media at Drew Martin Bets. And where can they reach you, Joe, on Twitter?
That's it. At Joe Raineri. Hit me up on Twitter anytime that you like here, guys. Any questions, anything I can do, let me know.
All right. And he is doing every game on the board, so not necessarily got to bet all of his recommendations, right, Joe?
Yes. It is Wednesday, guys. So what we do here is we try to – these are my initial leans and what I have found thus far going through it. But, of course, all the games I bet personally and the ones that I hand out to clients, of course, they're available at sportsmemo.com.
Absolutely, Joe. Well done, as always, Joe, the leadoff hitter here. And we'll bring in mid-major Matt later in the day to break down the next section of every game on the board. Guys, remember the coupon code JOE29 at checkout for his 3-day all-access package at sportsmemo.com. We'll be right back with mid-major Matt breaking down the next section, every game on the board.